Hello, everybody, and welcome into Perspectives. It's good to have you with us again today. We got a really great lineup, and I truly believe you're going to enjoy it. Our first guest is Stephen Jenkins with the Bob Dylan Center. Stephen, welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Sam.
So good to have you here. A little bit about you. Where is the center located?
We are in the thriving arts district of downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is perhaps an unlikely spot initially if you think about Bob Dylan not being from Oklahoma, not having any personal ties to Tulsa. But to our great good fortune, he decided that this would be the ideal permanent home for his archives.
I was going to ask you the next question, in fact, was why Tulsa?
Yes, well, I think a few things resonated for Dylan. One of which is that the same umbrella organization that runs the newly opened Dylan Center also runs the Woody Guthrie Center, which is here on the same block. And the George Kaiser Family Foundation, George Kaiser being the patron saint of Tulsa in so many ways, having done so much good for the city, acquired both the Guthrie archives, that was about 8 years ago, and then in 2016, the Dylan archives. Dylan responded very positively to the vibe of the city. He enjoyed the folks who he met. He values the fact that we are on Native American land and that there are other cultural institutions in town that have done a very good job of preserving and exhibiting Native American art. And then there's the Woody Guthrie connection itself, Guthrie being the formative influence, perhaps, for Dylan in his earliest years, when he really made a name for himself as kind of the coffee house folkie to be reckoned with. And he was always looking back towards Guthrie and the music and the cultural stance and the socio-political awareness that Guthrie always exhibited. All these reasons, I think, contributed to Dylan feeling like, you know what, Tulsa is the place. So we have acquired this archive of roughly 100,000 artifacts that we are now housing, and we are stewarding, hopefully doing Dylan justice by the way that we are exhibiting this work and creating context around it.
You are open for business now.
We are indeed. We officially opened May 10th.
I have a question. Over at the Guthrie Center, they have a program whereby if there's a piece of music you enjoy, they can make a copy of the lyrics to it for you. Do you have the same program set up here for Bob?
Not entirely the same, but we do have a lot of interactive elements that I think really enrich the experience for our visitors. The goal here is to take what are archival materials, pieces of paper, handwritten lyrics, film clips, recordings, of course, and really make them come alive, whether through interactive displays that allow visitors to, in a sense, page through the pages of notebooks in which Dylan kept his lyrics and continued to rewrite and rewrite songs over the years. We have a jukebox where you can pull up songs, 160 songs by Dylan and other artists. That's been curated by Elvis Costello. We have a recording studio experience where you can play producer or engineer and really get into the nitty-gritty of how a song is put together in the studio by pulling up different tracks. If you want to hear, for example, just the organ from Like a Rolling Stone, that amazing accompaniment, you can pull that up in the recording studio. All sorts of elements that, while you can't take printed lyrics with you, those are available on the Bob Dylan website. There are so many other different ways that you can engage as a visitor with this material and really get a strong sense, I believe, of the creative process.
Stephen,
I had
the distinct impression that this is one of those exhibits that when you walk away, you feel as though you've actually met the guy, that you've got just a little bit of his soul with you that'll stay permanently, even if you're not a big follower. I hope so.
I hope so. I think, whether for the Dylan diehards who, spend, as we do on staff, a lot of our waking hours listening to Dylan, thinking about his works, looking at its various meanings and potentials, or if you're a more casual fan, Blowing in the Wind and this,
sure,
somewhat curious guy who's always maybe on the fringes of culture, influencing it from his own unique perspective. I think that visitors do walk away with an increased appreciation for just the expansiveness of Dylan's vision.
Stephen, I'm running out of time here. I've got less than a minute. I've got to hit you.
Understood.
What are your hours?
We are open Wednesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. All of the information is available on bobdylancenter.com, and we are open for business.
Well, I do want to thank you for taking time to visit. I know right now things are a little bit hectic, and I truly expect to see somewhere in the exhibit a standard guitar and an electric guitar in glass. That's all, just because the controversy that came from that, and you know what I'm talking about.
Dylan goes electric. You will see it all. We've been able to recreate what happened there at the Newport Folk Festival in 1965.
Sweet. Hey, listen, thank you, my friend, and we appreciate you dropping in, and maybe down the road we can do a show from your facility.
You are welcome anytime.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown. Thanks again for taking time to talk with us.
Thank you.
We'll see you down
Take
the road.
care.
All right, buddy. Short break. We'll be right back.